On the morning of June 1st, 2025, a routine gathering in Boulder's Sculpture Park took a terrifying turn. What began as a peaceful demonstration of solidarity quickly devolved into chaos when an assailant struck without warning. Community members who came to show their support for Israeli hostages found themselves running for cover. By the time first responders arrived, the tranquility of that Sunday had evaporated. In the next several minutes, we'll take you through every pivotal moment, from the rally's hopeful beginnings to the harrowing violence, so you can understand exactly what happened, why it matters, and how the community is responding in the aftermath. Hello everyone, I'm Alfred Ramirez. Today we'll guide you through the events that unfolded on June 1st at Boulder Sculpture Park. We'll start by looking at the inspiration behind the Run for Their Lives rally, which aimed to raise awareness for Israeli hostages currently held by Hamas. Then, we'll examine how a lone individual turned solidarity into tragedy by throwing incendiary devices into the crowd. Finally, we'll explore the community and political responses, as well as broader concerns about rising anti-Semitism. By the end of this segment, you'll have a comprehensive understanding of both the facts and the human impact of that day. For several months leading up to June 1st, the Boulder Jewish Community Center organized weekly Run for Their Lives events. Participants, ranging from high school students to retirees, gathered every Sunday morning at Sculpture Park wearing t-shirts emblazoned with "Bring Them Home." Their goal was to draw attention to the plight of Israeli citizens abducted in Gaza, uniting the community behind banners, signs, and heartfelt speeches. Volunteers distributed water bottles and pamphlets explaining the hostage situation, while local musicians played solemn tunes. What began as a small group of dedicated supporters gradually grew to dozens, reflecting deep local concern for families separated by conflict overseas. On Sunday, June 1st, 2025, coinciding with the eve of Shavuot, attendees converged at Sculpture Park, a public green space near Pearl Street lined with sculptures and benches. The environment was calm, joggers passing by, children playing nearby, and volunteers setting up folding tables at the park edge. Colorado's clear blue sky and gentle breeze created an almost festive atmosphere. Yet, beneath the surface, organizers and participants felt a solemn urgency. The desire to raise awareness for Israeli hostages overshadowed any sense of protest. As speakers took the makeshift stage, sharing stories of families impacted by Hamas kidnappings, the crowd listened quietly, hearts heavy with empathy. According to Boulder Police records, the suspect was identified as 45-year-old Mohammed Sabry Soliman, originally from Egypt. He entered the United States on a non-immigrant visa in August 2022. Court filings indicate his visa expired in February 2023, making him undocumented since that time. He also held temporary work authorization, which lapsed in March 2025. Sources suggest Soliman had been living in a nearby apartment complex. Neighbors reported limited English proficiency and kept to himself. Authorities are investigating whether financial stress or political motivations drove him to target the rally. Though details remain sparse, his background and sudden violence have raised questions about his mental state and ideological influences. At approximately 10:15 a.m., as organizers began delivering speeches at the rally's central podium, witnesses described seeing Soliman approach the crowd from the northeast corner of the park. Multiple eyewitnesses report he shouted, "Free Palestine!" in a loud, agitated voice. He then hurled several petrol bombs, improvised Molotov cocktails, directly into the gathering. Flames erupted instantly, sending people screaming and ducking for cover. Moments later, Soliman ignited a makeshift flamethrower constructed from a repurposed fire extinguisher and propane canister, spraying fire toward nearby groups. Attendees tried to douse small fires with bottles of water, while others frantically called 911. Within 2 minutes of the initial explosion, dispatchers had logged over a dozen distress calls from panicked witnesses. As flames spread across the grass, onlookers scattered in all directions. Some ran north toward adjacent sidewalks. Others dove behind trees or sculptures for cover. A handful of bystanders sprang into action, dragging fallen participants away from the inferno and calling out to those still in shock. Boulder police officers already patrolling nearby streets converged on the scene within 90 seconds. Paramedics arrived shortly thereafter, quickly setting up triage zones to treat the injured. 2 large fire extinguishers were used to initially suppress the flames before firefighters arrived to douse residual hotspots. By 10:20 a.m., a perimeter was established, and the area was deemed secure enough to begin evacuation of victims to awaiting ambulances. Hospital sources confirmed that 8 individuals sustained injuries ranging from first to second-degree burns. The oldest victim, 88-year-old Miriam Cohen, suffered severe burns on her arms and was airlifted to Sky Ridge Medical Center in Aurora. A second senior, 84-year-old Benjamin Adler, also received critical care and remains under intensive observation. The remaining 6, ages 52 to 78, were treated for minor to moderate burns on their hands, legs, and torsos. All were released the same day, though a couple required follow-up outpatient care for potential infection risk. Medical staff praised bystanders for their rapid assistance in moving victims out of harm's way before first responders arrived. Mohammed Sabry Soliman was detained at the scene without resistance. Boulder Police reports note that Soliman dropped his weapons after a brief altercation with an off-duty officer who happened to be jogging nearby. Authorities immediately called in the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force. Federal agents arrived within 2 hours, took control of evidence collection, and began questioning potential witnesses. By day's end, the FBI had officially designated the incident a domestic terrorism investigation, citing Soliman's alleged intent to target a specific group. His cell phone and backpack were seized as evidence, and investigators obtained search warrants for his apartment and vehicle to gather further clues. The Boulder Jewish community responded with heartbreak and resilience. At a midday press briefing, Sarah Levine, a spokesperson for the Boulder Jewish Community Center, lamented, "Our hearts are heavy, but we stand united in the face of this hatred." Community members organized immediate prayer vigils at local synagogues, lighting candles for the injured and reciting psalms. Nearby residents hung yellow ribbons and "Bring Them Home" posters on their windows in solidarity. Meanwhile, Tom Richards, a lifelong Boulder resident, told local reporters, "I've never felt fear in this town before. It's a wake-up call that hatred can reach even our most peaceful corners." The BJCC has called for a citywide day of unity next weekend, inviting all faiths to stand against violence. Statements from national and international leaders quickly followed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a formal condemnation, calling the attack an assault on humanity, and extending his prayers to the American and Israeli families affected. Colorado Governor Jared Polis released a statement urging calm and emphasizing that hate has no place in Colorado. New York Senator Chuck Schumer described the violence as another alarming example of rising anti-Semitism and urged Congress to pass stricter hate crime legislation. On social media, bipartisan voices united. From Republican Senator Cory Gardner to Democratic Representative Joe Neguse, lawmakers spoke out against the attack and expressed solidarity with Boulder's Jewish community. This violent incident fits a troubling pattern: a 15% increase in anti-Semitic hate crimes nationwide since early 2023, according to FBI data. In April 2025, a San Diego synagogue was defaced with swastikas, and in February, anti-Jewish graffiti appeared on a New York City school's exterior. In response to this and similar events, Jewish centers across the country are ramping up security protocols. Many synagogues have installed metal detectors at entry points and hired off-duty police officers for Shabbat services. Volunteers have formed neighborhood watch groups to patrol community centers. For the next Run for Their Lives rally on June 8th, Boulder organizers announced additional barricades to control entry points and designated first aid stations staffed by trained EMTs. Flyers distributed in local neighborhoods remind participants to travel in groups and report any suspicious activity to authorities. Interfaith coalitions have also stepped in, offering to share security resources and offer crisis counseling to those affected. This attack in Boulder is a stark reminder that hate can erupt anywhere, even in communities we consider safe. If you live near a community event, please stay alert and support efforts to keep gatherings secure. Consider volunteering for local watch programs or donating to organizations that provide security assistance. If you or someone you know needs help coping with violence or hate, reach out to crisis hotlines such as the Anti-Defamation League's support line or local mental health services. Thank you for watching. If you found this report informative, please like, share with your friends, and subscribe for ongoing coverage of this story and other critical news. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.